So we have 5 different artists featured in this show. We have 4 of them here tonight. Susan lives in Wisconsin, so I don't think she's able to join us, but you can read more about her work in her artist statement there. But yeah, so I will just hand it over to Eric to speak a little bit about his work, which is featured on the wall here. And please join me in welcoming Eric from Brainerd. Thank you.
Okay. Well, yeah, I prepared a speech, but I don't know. I like to start with questions, actually. So, this is my art. I started with, just kind of putting down my emotions into letters, into my actual canvas, and going over it and over it and over it, because after my wife Maria passed away, it was really hard, and I had a lot of emotions. I had a lot to say, and I think a lot of people just kind of dodge that, but I thought I would address it. I usually before this painted landscapes, and they were nice, I go out and paint a landscape, but this is a lot different. This is more emotional. The colors, Maria loved color, so I stuck with colors she liked. Tried to do something that would please her. And what started out as just a word here or there coming to me turned into kind of a love letter. The whole series, there's 20 some paintings right now, but the whole thing is just a love letter to my wife. The table and chairs and the dish set, it's just one day I realized how the hardest part of this being alone, living in this house by myself, was eating by myself. She was a great cook, and she loved cooking, and she loved making things fancy, and it was just me sitting there thinking, and just all my thoughts just buzzing in my head, and I wanted to somehow capture that feeling that I had. So I took the actual dishes that I was using and the chair that I was sitting on, and put it all together, and I bought the tablecloth. But it's how I felt. Once all this happened, I had to keep moving. It's I knew if I stopped, I would kind of sink, like I was swimming, treading water. And so I just, started working on these canvases, and I really felt like I couldn't surrender. Starting usually every day before sunrise in an art studio, painting for hours. Going through Maria's record collection, listening to every one of them. I don't know, I didn't count them, but there was 12 feet of records. And before I got done with the paintings, I finished the records, so some of them are awful. I think a lot of men don't want to show emotion, and I kind of saw that as a weakness, and I wanted to confront the emotions I was having, and I wanted to wear it as a badge, and that's kind of what I was doing here. And, I don't know. Does anyone have any questions?
How did you come up with infused with guilt?
If you lose somebody, it's like you're guilty. You feel, even though I did everything that I could have done while she was alive, I felt like I didn't. you know, I was there, you know, all through her cancer struggle, and I held her hand when she took her last breath. And, you know, I still felt like I hadn't done enough. And just everything makes you feel bad. Like you feel like just living is, you know, is something, you know, you're betraying her somehow. That's how I felt anyway. So.
Do you still have that guilt, or are you getting better?
No, I think once I painted it, it was there. And after I painted that painting, the rest of them are okay, but that one I couldn't even look at. Like I put it away, like facing the wall, and like I didn't look at it for a long time until I brought it here. I wasn't gonna show it, but then I decided maybe it would help someone else.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything?
It's just a question about,
Sure.
you're talking about painting landscapes, so,
Yeah.
you know, there'd be a lot of flow and so on.
Yeah.
And then the tremendous detail here, is there any thought behind the emotion and the minute detail that's represented?
Well, I mean, yeah, like it's, your emotion is deep. You know, everyone's emotion is deeper than they want to know. Once you start looking, you see more and more, just like a landscape. Just like a desert scene in the Southwest. And you see a craggy rock, but you look at it and there's more and more to it. Or you see the leaves on a tree. Yeah. Is there any other questions? So yeah, I'd like to thank the Crosby Center and the other artists. I'm just kind of blown away by your work. So,
What
thank
was
you
your
very
favorite
much.
color?
I really like the bright green, but I hate to, it's like picking a favorite child or something. The sky blue is also a favorite of mine. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric. All right, Gorman sisters, you're up.
Okay.
Dynamic duo. All right, we've got
She's older, she has to go first.
Ann and Meg Gorman joining us. So here.
Thanks.
Hi everyone, I'm Meg, the older sister.
I'm Ann Gorman, I'm the younger sister.
So our collaboration was inspired by our dad's bees. The photographs that Ann took were of his last hive of bees.
And I was at home in Indiana caring for him, helping them navigate the treatment decisions they had to make for his very rare bile duct cancer. It came on sudden and it took him fast, a lot faster than we thought. And I would use my photography as a way to ground myself and to give myself some self-care during those hard days. There were multiple trips home, and I would just go out and wander around and see what spoke to me. And when I found the activity at the hives, they were still buzzing with life, and yet I kept on finding these solitary honeybees just sitting there inviting me into their world. And so I just started shooting my camera at them, and these are some of the works that came out of that. And then I was there firsthand, but Meg was stuck in London.
Yeah, I live in London, so I'm here from a far away to be here tonight. And because of COVID, traveling was really, really difficult and very restrictive. And in a lot of ways, I was jealous of the ability of my sister to actually be there and go through these terrible things and see them firsthand. And I work in print, so I started taking her photographs and just trying to reinterpret them, but I kind of, particularly on the resting one there, I kind of discovered the degradation of the print when I was taking a ghost print, just trying to clean the screen. started feeling like that experience of my experience was a copy of somebody else's experience. It was a digital reinterpretation of what my sister could go through directly. And I said that this was just how I was feeling, and we started this conversation about what had happened in a way we weren't able to talk about it at the time. And this collaboration is
very organic.
Yeah.
It just unfolded before us, and we just ran with it.
Yeah.
And it was very healing to be able to talk back and forth through our different experiences with losing him. They were so drastically different experiences, and I think we both felt guilty for different reasons, getting back to that guilt after losing someone.
Yeah. And it's an ongoing collaboration. So at the front, there's some flyers for a project we're currently kicking off called Telling the Bees. So there's a folkloric tradition of in England as well as in the eastern part of the United States, when the beehive and the beekeeper was the center of their agrarian society, that you had to tell your bees everything that happened in the village. And grief and loss was a shared knowledge that everybody had. And if you didn't inform the bees as part of your community, you were afraid that they would leave. And so we're working on an installation with a beekeeping collective in Ohio, where we're going to put everybody's memories of the things that they want to tell the bees into a bee box and bee frames, so that you can pick them up and harvest everybody's memories like honey, and kind of call to that sense of collective grief, which also an exhibition like this does as well too.
And I think it's important to remember that when you're grieving someone, the happy memories are just as important as those final, horrible, last moments. And when you are able to immortalize and remember those happy moments, it helps you move through the grieving process and gets you to a better place. And sometimes you'll regress and you'll be like the happiest of happies, and then all of a sudden you're back there on the day it happened. And that's just the way life is, right? That's our grieving process. So whatever you need, whenever you need it, take time for yourselves and get that self-care in there, because it's going to help you get through that day to day, or that hour to hour, or that minute to minute, those tough days that you need. And process what you are grieving any way you can. We chose our creativity. It wasn't easy, and it's still not easy, but the extension of this collection of his last beehive, we want to actually start embracing the future as well. And I think our next series are going to be full of life.
Yeah. And I think the only thing I would add on top of that is give people grace. And if you know people who have gone through loss, it isn't something you say to them like on the day of the funeral. Like, invite them to talk about their loved ones because they want to, and just give them that space and that grace, and invite them into your community, because we are communal beings and we feel better when we share these things.
We do.
Even if I'm crying, I cry all the time now. So, if there is any questions, we can.
And I should mention there are poems that are matched with
Okay.
each pairing, and those are words and feelings and thoughts I captured during my photo shoot and while I was processing the images. And this was this is me at the beginning of my poetry journey, so do not judge the poetry, but just the sentiment of writing it down. You don't have to share it publicly, but write it down. I encourage everyone just to write it on a piece of paper, make marks on a piece of paper. Everyone's creative. You don't ever have to share those marks or those words with anyone else.
And if anyone has any questions, well, we can also answer them if they're there.
We silenced the room. Let's go home now. Yeah.
My husband wants to know if you ever got stung.
So,
She's allergic.
I'm allergic. So I've been stung 3 times, and it's extremely unpleasant for me. And so in a lot of ways, the bees are always going to be something I experience through photographs or
Pain.
or it's not even pain. It's just that if I'm around them, I have to remain very calm and very aware, so that if I feel like they're around me, I take steps back. Reality is most insects, don't want to bother you. And so if you treat them with respect and you're aware of them, they will leave you alone.
And he always said that he had very nice bees. And my mom, she's here in the audience with us too. She's taken over his honeybees. She's now the queen bee. And that's the full of life that we're talking about. We're gonna photograph her hives and show them in their colonies producing and being happy and buzzing around. And so we are very happy to still have all of the bees in our lives.
Yeah. And this collaboration.
Any other questions?
Thank you both so much. Now I'll invite Molly May up to just say a few words about her work as well. And thanks to all of you also for your attention and just being here and being a part of this evening. We appreciate you. Thanks, Molly.
Hi, I'm Molly, and these three pieces, these paintings right here are mine. How do I start? My grief started in 2017 when I lost my best friend unexpectedly at a time that I was just not prepared, even though you can't really be prepared for something like that. And then after that, I have 2 years that I have no memory of. These pieces did not come out of those 2 years. I did paint and I did actively work, and I am able to look back on those and see a lot of what I was going through. These pieces specifically, when I created them, I've known I've been processing and painting out of grief ever since then, but these ones would come to me usually when I was on a walk, and it came to my mind pretty much fully formed. Some things would change, but these just came, and it's like, this is exactly what I want. Obviously, I use myself as a model because I am free a model, but also it was my best way of expressing it, but I've always wanted other people to hopefully be able to see my grief and then translate it from whatever they're experiencing. Right after my best friend died, I also started to get sick physically, and I think that is one reason I have been drawn to human form as well, because then I had come to a point where I had to admit this grief is living in my body, is affecting my daily life, how I move and how I interact with the people I love around me. So that is a point that has been very, very consistent since then. All of my work right after she died moved almost completely to human form, with some florals thrown in there, just for fun. So these ones, also as I look through them, the work came to my mind completely fully formed, but only finished was I able to see, oh, that's what I was really going through. And that's why X, Y, Z looks like this. The square one on the very far right, the elements in the background came to my mind, but now looking back, I'm able to see, oh, that's why. The blue curve in it is actually the Mississippi River, which I would often go to and look at following her death. I was drawn to that form and I knew I had to incorporate it. I didn't know why. And as we progress, this one, this furthest one here, or this one closest to me, is potentially my favorite, and I'm starting to come to an end of working on grief-specific work, even though I know it will always live in my work as it always will live in my body. But this one here is really a capstone because it came to a point of consciousness for me of, this happened, now what do I do? This is gonna happen again to someone else, now what do I do? What do I do to steward my experience? Also, I just noticed this is the only one I have that I am not covering my face. So that's interesting to see altogether for myself. So obviously that is me in the blue, but then also the young lady there is my 13-year-old niece, which then became a huge inspiration for me. Of when I look at her, I think, wow, bad things are gonna happen to her. Like, and that sucks. Bad things have happened to me. What am I gonna do to help her, because I've already been through that. So, and then a lot of things also come super organically, specifically like that background and that curvy line. I tried so many different backgrounds with that one, but then I always kept coming back to, no, it needs to be a fluid line because everything has a consistent thread and it's all woven together, whether I see it now or I'm gonna see it 10 years down the line. And I like to work in blue, obviously. Is there any questions?
Put the mic up closer to your mouth.
Oh, okay, I'd love to.
Tell us about the middle one.
The middle one, that one took a lot of planning. And that one did come pretty fully formed to my head. When I worked on that, the skull that I'm holding is actually I live in more of a wooded area, and I was walking one day and I found a fully decomposed deer skeleton. So that's it right there. And looking back, at the time, did I know what I was doing? It just came to my head, but looking back, it felt like I kept hitting this wall of grief. Then I'd get better, and I'm like, yeah, I got this. And then again, and it kept circling back, and it's a point that it feels like I have to bring myself to a major awareness of this, but also I gotta acknowledge it so that I can move on. So it's like, yeah, I do have to keep coming back. So it's almost like coming to your knees at the point of grief, but also then holding it up, saying, I got nothing left. So that's kind of the point that came from that. Part of the background, I didn't even know I was gonna do until I did it, and I was like, nothing's working, it's awful. Everything's awful I do. And then I turned it upside down and did the same thing over to get kind of the same figure pointing down, and then I decided everything wasn't awful in life, and I kept painting. So yeah, any other questions? Did I answer that? People want?
Do you enjoy looking at them?
Yeah, I think so. Usually once I finish a piece, I turn it around against the wall and I don't look at it for like 3 months. And then I sometimes forget about it. But yeah, looking back on it, usually in the process, painting is the thing I love and hate the absolute most. So in the process, not always, but now stepping back at them, it's a body of work that I'm like, wow, I like this, and I do feel proud of its outcome.
The reason I ask that is because it's pain.
Yeah, and it's a lot of pain that I didn't even realize at the moment. Sometimes I look at them and I'm like, sheesh, wow, that's heavy. Yeah, that's a really good question, but yeah, I like them now. Some of them will I be able to always keep with me because of how much pain is behind it. I don't know if I'll keep a lot of these with me just so that it can keep moving and then I can keep moving. This one with my niece, that one will stay with me forever. But yeah,